If you're gay, then you're gay. Don't pretend that you're straight. You could be who you are any day of the week. You are unlike the others, so strong and unique. We're all with you. If you're straight.
Hi, my name is Allison, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about sexual orientation. I first thought I'd start out with a couple quotes that I like. The first, if homosexuality is a disease, let's all call in queer to work. Hello, can't work today, still queer, by Robin Tyler. And the second, by Ellen DeGeneres. Do we have to know who's gay and who's not? Can't we just love everybody and judge them by the car they drive? So what exactly is sexual orientation? Our book describes sexual orientation as the sexual attraction to one's own sex, homosexual, to the other sex, heterosexual, or to both sexes, bisexual, or lack of sexual interest in either sex, asexual. First of all, let me start out with the Kinsey scale. We all know the Kinsey scale and its purpose. It's used to depict a continuum of sexual orientations instead of saying we are exactly one thing or the other. Kinsey's scale only had 6 parts to it, and it did not include asexuality. I like this version of it because it shows all of the sexual orientations that I mentioned earlier. However, Kinsey's scale is sometimes interpreted wrongly because you can't say that we are stable in one sexual orientation forever. Our sexual orientation is always changing, and that's what brings me to sexual fluidity. Lisa Diamond, a researcher and psychologist, says that sexual fluidity is utilized to describe variability in same-sex and other sex attraction and or involvement at various times and situations throughout the lifespan. Lisa Diamond conducted a study on sexual fluidity following almost 80 women ages 18 to 25 over a 10-year period. At the beginning of the study, all of the subjects were involved with other women, and they labeled themselves variably as lesbian, bisexual, or unlabeled. But at the end of the study, only about 1/3 of those women were consistent in their self-identification. The other women had changed their self-identification at least once during the 10 years. Next, I'm going to talk to you guys about the 4 sexual orientations I mentioned earlier: homosexual, heterosexual, bisexual, and asexual. First of all, let me begin by telling you how many homosexuals actually make up our population. According to the 2013 National Health Interview Survey data collected in 2013 from 34,557 adults aged 18 and over, 96.6% of those adults identified as straight, 1.6% identified as gay or lesbian, and 0.7% identified as bisexual. The remaining 1.1% of adults identified as something else or refused to provide an answer. Heterosexuality is the most common sexual orientation, and it is how the vast majority of our population identifies. Unfortunately, many people in our society consider it to be the social norm. Now, a sexuality that causes a lot of controversy is bisexuality. Bisexuality has a lot of different components that the other sexualities do not. Some people look at bisexuality as a cry for attention or an act of desperation. Others see it as a phase of experimenting. Various factors add to the reason why it's difficult, such as performative bisexuality. That's where women engage in sexual acts with other women just for the purpose of pleasing and arousing other men. Those who are bisexual have a hard time achieving a sense of belonging. Heterosexual and homosexual people think that maybe the person is just gay and is too afraid to admit it. But regardless of the remarks by members of our society, there are many bisexual people. For example, those who I included, such as Megan Fox, David Bowie, Lady Gaga, Alan Cumming, and Drew Barrymore. The last sexual orientation I'm going to mention is asexuality. This is the least common sexual orientation, and it's widely overlooked. It is commonly mistaken with celibacy, which is a person's own decision. Asexuality is an instinct part of someone, and it is not a choice. Majority of asexual people are not distressed by their sexuality, and many of them still have non-sexual relationships with other asexual people. Janine Garofalo from Wet Hot American Summer identifies as asexual. So what determines sexual orientation? Our book mentions psychosocial theories and biological factors. Some of the psychosocial theories include the by default myth, which is saying someone had an unhappy heterosexual experience and therefore turned homosexual. The other is the seduction myth, where older homosexuals seduced young people. And finally, Freud's theory, which describes childhood experiences and relationships with parents. Biological factors are hard to pinpoint because of the constant changing environments in nature and an individual's discovery of their sexual orientation. So, to wrap it all up, sexual orientation is complicated and obscure to all of us. It's not easily defined, and it's something everyone has to learn about themselves. People need to be more understanding of other people's sexual orientations instead of performing hate crimes or riots if they don't agree with it. Coming out is a difficult time for those who aren't heterosexual, and if we learn to accept one another, it can be a wonderful experience instead of an awful one. All in all, everyone deserves acceptance for who they are.